Hello everybody and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today is going to be a review video on the new Colourpop Ooh palette. And this is a palette that I already did several videos on. I've done a first impressions video and I've done numerous tutorials where I featured this palette specifically. And I will link all the relevant videos in the cards, but this is going to be my full review on this palette because even though I really liked this palette when I first got it, when I first did a first impressions on it, I was really excited about it. I was really pleased with it. Upon further use and upon using it almost every single time I did my makeup, I have discovered that there are some things in this palette that prevent it from being a universally appealing palette. Now, of course, everybody has their own opinions. Not everyone is going to like every single product that releases, but this palette stood out to me as a palette that I can see a lot of people disliking and a lot of people liking. I hope that this video will be helpful to you because I literally am going to go through in depth everything about this palette. I'm going to talk to you about my experience. I'm going to go through each and every single color. There will be timestamps which I will place in the description box below. So if you want to skip around this video and if you want to look for certain things, certain characteristics that you want my thoughts on, then of course check the description box, but let's just get into it. So this is a palette itself. You've probably already seen it online numerous times. The packaging is like this hot pink plastic packaging. It's very hard, very durable. It's a departure from the previous Colourpop cardboard packaging. You have like the lettering over here. You have a sticker on the back that shows all the colors. And then when you open it up, you have 9 shades that range from pink shades to purple shades. And you have like a mixture of metallics, of shimmers, and mattes. And here you have all of them right here. The backs of these pans are magnetized, so you can pop these out and place them in a singles palette if you wish to do so. But if you notice, they also have the names of each and every color below each pan right here, which I did say in my first impressions. I do think that it's a great thing that they did that because, of course, when you're using one of these colors, you want to know which color you're using. And sometimes when you have like just the colors on the back and not in the actual packaging in the front, then it can get a little bit confusing when you're trying to like decipher which color it is that you are using, if that makes any sense. So I first want to go through each and every color in this palette to give you guys an understanding and a description of what each color is and just the swatches and all the things like that. So the first color that I have in this palette is the shade called Tickle. Now this is a very light, kind of sheer looking highlight shade. I've used it a few times wet and dry, and I have noticed that when I apply it dry, it gets a little bit crumbly, but of course you can live with that. You can easily just spray your brush, or you can just wet your brush and that just takes the problem away. It's a really good highlight shade. It's also a nice brow bone shade. It has like a little bit of like a purplish sort of like reflect duochrome, especially when you put it on the skin, on your eye. It's kind of an interesting shade. I don't think it's an absolute standout shade. It's not my favorite shade in this entire palette, but it is a pretty decent highlight shade and I do like it for that. Then I have Soft Core, which is actually the least used color in this entire palette. It's a matte light pink, and I understand that they placed this color in the palette to give like people who need like a very light transition color something to use. It's just that I personally don't really use a lot of transition colors at all, so I have only used this color very minimally, but my impression of this color is that it's a very nice creamy, matte, very light pink shade. It goes on very nicely. It's very blendable. I haven't really noticed any problem with this shade. It's easily buildable. I really like it a lot. I just don't really use it a ton. Then I have Poodle, which I actually use a lot more. It's like essentially a step darker. It's a sort of mid-tone hot pink matte shade, and I love this color for blending out my crease. I love this color for my crease area in general, and that's just what I've been using it for. It builds really nicely. It blends really nicely as well. The pigmentation is also really good. It's kind of like what the typical good Colourpop shadows pigmentation tends to be. That's the pigmentation of this color right here. And then I have Big Sugar, and this is like a slightly shimmery, bordering on the edge of a metallic color. It is very easy to use. I prefer using it with a glitter glue or just with a wet brush, but that's just because you get more impact. And that's true for any palette, any formula. If you use it with a wet brush or if you use it placed on top of glitter glue, it will become more intense, so naturally it will look better. But I do like Big Sugar a lot. I find it especially fun just to pack it on the center of my lid. That's what I've been using it for. And then I have Opulent. Now Opulent is probably one of the two favorite colors in this entire palette for me, and I have used it pretty heavily. I've used Opulent on my inner corner, I've used Opulent on my lid, I've used Opulent all over my lid. It's a really fun, very high impact hot pink. Now the thing that I want to say about Opulent is that it's the type of color that looks fantastic in the pan, but requires building up when you put it on your eyelid. Now, that's the same for a lot of the colors in this palette, and I think that's a big reason why I think that a lot of people might not like this palette, is because it does require building up. Now, am I willing to build it up? Yes, I am. I'm completely willing to do so if it will help me create a better result with my eyeshadow. However, I do want to say that yes, it requires building up, and if you don't like building up your eyeshadows, you probably won't like this color right here, but I personally love it. I'm actually wearing it in my on my lid right now. It's right in the center of my lid, and you can see there's just such a beautiful color, and it just meshes in perfectly with other shades. It's very easy to use, very blendable, very compatible with other colors. The next color that I want to talk about is Sandbar. Now, besides Opulent, Sandbar is also my favorite color, and it's weird because Sandbar is actually one of the colors in this palette that makes it kind of so polarizing, because if you look at my swatch on my arm, this is Sandbar, and it looks like an unpigmented mess, especially when you compare it with this color and how it looks in the pan. There's just such a discrepancy with the swatch and the color as it looks like in the pan. So, see, this is a color that I would recommend applying with a very densely packed brush. You simply cannot use this color and really just get that full hot pink impact with a fluffier, less dense brush. What I've been doing is I've been literally taking like a very dense packing brush. The one that I like to use is this one from BH Cosmetics. This tends to be like a super, like densely packed dome-shaped brush. Sorry, it has like other shadows on it right now, but I love using this brush to just really pack that color in. And then what I do is I take another fluffier brush and I just blend out the edges with that brush. So that is how I like to use this shade right here, because really just like if you want to get like that intense hot pink color, you have to layer it. Another thing, I find that this color specifically actually stains my lids. That's not unusual when it comes to colors in this category. Like pink and red shades tend to stain my lids a lot. I have noticed that pink shades do tend to stain my eyelids. So really, it's just not unusual, but if you don't like staining, just know that this color will stain your eyelids. I do want to show you guys what this color looks like layered in the swatch. So this is like the first layer, and then this is like the second layer, okay? And then this is the third layer. So you can see that this color is like buildable. It's pretty easy to build. And it's nice because unlike some other matte shades, such as like the L'Oreal Infallible matte shadows, you can build these colors really easily. And that's a point that I want to make, because a lot of people like to build colorful shades, especially shades like these. And what's great about the formula in this palette in general that I've noticed is that you can build these colors up easily, and you don't necessarily have to worry about anything looking muddy or anything looking like it's unfinished. You can build the colors up to the intensity that you want, which I think is a really great plus. So then over here we have this color called Trove. This is like a kind of brownish, plumish kind of purple. This is what it looks like right here. This is the first layer, okay? And I want to just layer it again, because again, this is one of those colors that I apply with a more dense brush because it looks beautiful when it's like built on. This color has a little bit of a crumbly texture, not gonna lie, but it looks just so beautiful when it's on your lower lash line. But I loved using it to just really just smoke out my lower lash line when I just pack it on with like a dense brush. You really get that intensity. And then this other color called Caddy is a similar case. It looks beautiful when smoked out. I absolutely love using it. I've also used it on my top lid, I think, a few times as well, but mainly on my bottom lash line. And it's just such a beautiful grape color. I absolutely love it, but like you just saw there, I did have to build it up to get that intensity, you know. And then the last color is called Moonstruck. Now, this is like a very gold kind of shade. It kind of just meshes into my skin, honestly. I haven't actually used it too often. I used it when I first got the palette and I haven't really used it since because it's just not one of the colors that really just wows me. It's not very intense. It's kind of like a typical light gold metallic. So it doesn't really inspire me to just go ahead and use this color in the palette. So yeah, final overall thoughts. Do I like this palette? Yes, I love this palette. Do I think it's for everyone? No, but there are ways to make it work. And that's why I just wanted to make this video for you guys. I wanted to give you guys like a helpful, unbiased, full, in-depth look at this palette because I want to give you guys the chance to just really just sit back and think, is this palette right for me? Is this a good idea for me to get? If you want more pigmentation, if you want more like high impact straight off the bat, I definitely suggest going for a Juvia's Place palette. Juvia's Place makes some beautiful, like really high impact pink shades that I absolutely love using. But if you don't mind layering and if you like the looks that you've been seeing with this palette, then I would definitely suggest getting it because it is so beautiful. But I wanted to give you guys the pros and cons, the good and bad, so you can form your own opinion and you can see whether or not this palette would be good for you. So thank you so much for watching till the end. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.